Just as a thought experiment, I would like you to imagine if you were as consciousness living in vessels or physical form, our bodies. That's implying that the consciousness is separate from the body. Or rather, the consciousness doesn't need the body to exist. The body may need the consciousness to exist, but the consciousness doesn't need the body. So, back to the Aug Tellez information. Some of what he talks about is other beings inhabiting, basically doing the body snatcher thing, taking somebody else's body. And what exactly happens to that other entity if they just maybe take a back seat in the mind, still witnessing but not necessarily the number one activating force in the body? Not sure what would happen in that situation, but he's talking about so many things. It's ridiculous. He's talking about a lot of dark things as well. It's not just like experiments and adventure, curiosity, things like that. No, it's for instance, he says there are these negative entities. He says the whole political system, at least the big ones, are examples of these negative entities, and he says they need to basically fulfill perverted sexual needs every few weeks or whatever. Otherwise they will, and these are his words, he says, otherwise they will literally attack people and rape or murder or hurt, basically. And so politicians are aside, just the concept of being able to inhabit another being's body, or to take a body for your own. Another thing that he was saying was that these beings that feed off the negative energy, such as rape, murder, torture, sexual abuse, like any of these sort of very horrific things, he says that they've figured out with high technology how to record a living being's experience. And so, for instance, you go throughout your day and do whatever, blah blah blah, do whatever you do during your routine. Get up, brush your teeth, take a shower, eat, go to work, come back. Do whatever you do during your day. Whatever is seen through your eyes, whatever is felt through your senses, whatever you hear, and whatever you taste, whatever, all these senses gets recorded via technology, and these beings can basically plug into the computer, this high-powered computer, and they can relive whatever experience that being was going through. And so what he's saying, and not only that, but they can, he says they can compress the experience, compress, so these guys can plug in and they can experience 24 hours in what outwardly appears as, a minute. They'll come back and a minute has passed in their time, but they, in their subjective experiential level, they will have experienced 24 hours. And what he's saying is they're addicted to this negative energy experiences. So people getting raped, people getting dismembered, people getting killed, people getting sexually abused, people getting tortured, Anything you can think of is what he's saying. Anything, the lowest level of depravity that's possible. Your imagination, if you're one of these negative entities, is the limit. Well, the flip side to that is that he's, the archonic influence apparently doesn't have imagination, so they need to enlist the help of humans, creative humans, to fulfill their needs. So apparently it's a problem. It's not something that we see in day-to-day life, but what we see in day-to-day life, we see, not only see, but also feel. We see and feel that something is not right. If you're awake at all, you see and feel that. Now you can look outside and it just appears great. And the trees, wind's blowing through the trees and people are being peaceful for the most part. But the systems, you can observe the systems, you can observe the belief structures that are fed to us, you can observe the dogmatic religions, you can observe the whole structure and see that it's hinting at something else. And this thing that Aug is talking about would be a logical fit to what that something else is. But getting back to the original idea, I'd like you to imagine, feel your own body, feel your fingers, see what you're seeing, focus in on your present moment, and just think about if you yourself were an implant into the body that you're in. Just imagine that. Just observe all of the feelings that you can, all the senses, and imagine if the living consciousness, I'm not talking about the name and the identity, the living consciousness was an implant in the body. How would you know? Would you know? And we're assuming that memory erasure is in action. So we obviously don't remember everything. So if you had been implanted, or if you were one of these, say, roving spirits or bodiless entities that needed a vessel, and you had popped into this body, how would you know? Is what I'm saying. If you fully identified with all of the being's original memories, and they became yours because you now have access to this being's brain and mind. Would you know? Is it possible? I don't know. It starts getting convoluted when you're playing this game of shooting consciousness all over the place and trying to insert it into other vessels. And so the stuff that Aug talks about is, a lot of it is just hard to comprehend how it's even possible. And if you take the creation as it is, before, say, it got perverted or distorted, it's very perfectly made. Very perfectly made. Everything fits flawlessly. The present moment just rolls along perfectly, and you have the ability to project into the future and the past, and you have the ability to create this beautiful lived experience. And you can interact with other players. You can interact with other things roaming around on the surface of wherever you're at. But what I'm saying is, being that we're infinite, incarnated, reduced, we're infinity reduced to this. If you have an entity that is negative oriented and it feeds on things like rape and torture and murder, then there's how do you find the limit to what they can do? To what just, where's the limit? I don't know. I don't know where the limit is. Let me know what you think about that, about the idea of consciousness being able to be basically bottled or uploaded onto a chip and stuck into another vessel via technology. I'm not even talking about we're powerful enough to do this, I'm sure, in varying stages of life itself. I'm sure we become powerful enough to, just the idea that you can go out of body signifies that you, the consciousness, is not stuck to the body. And the possibility, if the possibility exists in your mind, then it's, it can be manifest somehow. But what do you think about consciousness being able to be chipped and transferred, stored, probably bought and sold? What do you think about that? Let me know.